world's one big tinderbox. It's only going to take one person to light the match, ignite the fire that's going to illuminate all the problems we all face, all the insecurities that we all try to hide, all the issues that plague our community, all the corruption that's happening. That fire is going to burn all the things I just spoke about. That fire is going to engulf all things we hold precious, all the negativity, all the hate, all the separation. And after it scorches the earth, what's going to rise out of the ashes will not be a phoenix, but hope, belief in self, self-esteem, and love. I want to welcome you to the Ordinary People Podcast, where we talk to ordinary people with extraordinary stories. I am your host, Alan the Great, and this is part 3 of our children's right to live. On this episode, we're going to talk about the subject, why African American women do not support other African American women. Now, if you listen to part 1 of the Ordinary People Podcast, Our Children's Right to Live, you'll heard me speak on this subject very briefly. After I spoke on it, there was a lot of conversation based on it, and I appreciate the conversation, and I encourage that the conversation continues on. People wanted to debate with me about the subject. People wanted to argue with me about the subject. There was people who wanted me to elaborate more on my opinion on why black women do not support each other. So here it is. Now, originally I said I was going to do a 4-part series to Our Children's Right to Live, but we're going to end it here at part 3. We're going to end it here, and you'll understand why when we're done. Now, on part 1 of Our Children's Right to Live, I said the reason black women do not support other black women is because they don't support themselves. Now, what did I mean by that? What I meant by that was they don't support themselves. Supporting themselves meaning loving themselves. See, you have to love yourself before you can love somebody else. And African American women, a lot of them don't love themselves. They don't love themselves because of their skin color, their hair texture. They don't love who they are. Now you're probably saying, what's promoting them to not love themselves? Is it just TV? Is it what they're seeing in magazines? No, we got to take it back to slavery if we want to really dig into the root of the problem of having the ability to love themselves. But then, even then, it's not that simple. But let's talk about slavery and the effect it continues to have on the mind of African American women. Let's talk about what happened during slavery. For you who are not educated and do not know, during slavery, black women, more than men, were divided. You had the black women who were the house, the cook, served the house. They were seen as the more upper echelon women, the light-skinned women. Then you had the black women who were out in the field. They were the darker-skinned women, the quote-unquote undesirable women. And there was a separation even then, in the midst of slavery. There was a separation already set and being set in motion for the future. That separation was to encourage that we don't support each other, that black women don't support other black women. See, the women in the house, the lighter-skinned women, were considered the more beautiful women or the more desirable women. And they were seen on a higher echelon than the women that worked out in the fields. They weren't seen even on equal ground, even though you were both confined into slavery. Now, these thoughts and this belief still permeates the world today. Because, see, black women today have not escaped that thought. Whether consciously or unconsciously, that thought still is in the back of their minds. And it's difficult not to be. Because, see, it's not just the magazines that keep promoting that thought. It's not just TV. Well, it is TV, but It's happening in so many different ways. When you're watching constant slave movies, you're constantly reminded of being oppressed. You're constantly reminded of what position other people held back in those days. You're constantly reminded of what your worth and your value is and seen in the midst of society. So African American women have not escaped that thought that slavery put upon them, that separation that was put in motion during slavery. And I know a lot of people probably saying, well, slavery was so long ago and it wasn't that long of a period. Slavery was yesterday. What do I mean by slavery was yesterday? Do I mean literally that slavery was yesterday? No, I don't mean literally. But when you watch shows like The Underground, The Butler, 12 Years a Slave, you watch Django, Roots, those shows are of entertainment of slavery. Are they made to educate? Are they made to educate black people or people, society as a whole on what slavery was? Were the movies made or shows made for educational purposes? Or were they more made for purposes of entertainment? My opinion is entertainment. But see, it goes further than entertainment in the minds of an African American person or African American women. Because see, they're reliving and seeing their ancestors go through this oppressed time through slavery. They're seeing that division and being reminded of that division every single time you watch one of these shows. Every time this is put in your face of what happened during slavery, it's reconditioning your mind to go back to that time and understand that you're supposed to be divided. Because in the midst of division, it's easier to conquer somebody. And it also reminds African American women, particularly the dark-skinned African American women, that they're undesirable because of their skin tone. And now, do I agree with that? Absolutely not. Because let me tell you something. Dark skin, light skin, you're all beautiful. You are beautiful. And your skin tone your hair does not define your beauty. Now, that's my opinion. And that's the opinion I feel like all women should have of themselves. You are all beautiful. You're all extraordinary despite that. But see, just because I believe that, don't make it so easy for them to believe it when you're constantly told that you're not. So when you ask the question, why does African American women not support each other? You gotta dig back into the history and look for the root of the problem. They have a history of being forced against each other. They have a history of competing with each other, and it translates even into the workforce. See, even in the workforce, you have certain African American women who still have the same slave mentality where they're trying to make it in the quote unquote big house, meaning they're trying to find favor for their boss. So I can't support you because if I do, then you are in competition or may put yourself in position to take that role I want. That's in that shining light. That shining light. That's highlighting you. That's putting you in the big house. That's making the boss look at you like, you know what? You're the token black person. Or should I say black woman. Woman. And that still affects women to this day. So when you look at women in corporate America, you're competing for a position and you're forgetting that we're supposed to support each other. We're supposed to educate each other. We're supposed to help each other. And you forget all the issues that you as women face, not just in the corporate world, but in society in general. Let's talk about it for a second. Let's start with corporate world. What are some of the inequalities you face as women in the corporate world? Well, one is there's a significant wage gap that continues to exist in the corporate world when it comes to paying women and paying a man. See, you're still making less money for doing the same job, having the same skill set, or even more, the same education. And this has not been addressed yet. You're still dealing with sexual harassment. You're dealing with issues at workforce that you shouldn't, that a man doesn't have to deal with. And it's not fair to women. So when you look at women and you say, why are y'all not banding together? It's because they have a slave mentality. And it's not just African American women, it's women in general. And what I mean by women in general have a slave mentality, you think about it. Through history, women has always been submissive to their husbands. You have always been submissive to your husbands. So you go to workforce, when you go to negotiate for a position, a lot of times women are still in that same mindset. They're oppressed. So they don't feel empowered to really stand up for what they believe in, stand up for what they deserve. And you have men who I like to call boys who take advantage of that. And we're going to get to that. Don't worry. We're going to get to that. But that's one of the issues. Now, when you talk about society, why women, African American women, don't support other African American women in society. Let's talk about that for a second. In just general society outside the workforce. Outside there, have you been watching the news? Domestic abuse has been on a rise, or maybe it's not on a rise, maybe it's getting more light. Because I started this by saying the world is a big tinderbox, and we take one person to light that match to illuminate the issues that we all are facing. Maybe that's what it is. The fire is starting to illuminate the issues that's happening in society in general with women being domestically abused, being mistreated by men. But what is being done by it? Because see, I'm looking at employers and I'm saying to myself, not enough is being done by it. Not enough is being done about it in society. Women are being domestically abused, being sexually harassed at jobs, and look how long it's taking to fire the men who are doing it. They're not doing it to just one woman, multiple women. Look at it. And where this ties back to why African American women should or don't support each other is it ties back to the fact of the matter is you need to get on the same chord. You need to get together because these problems are not just affecting one of you, it's affecting all of you. You're all in danger of it. And as long as you remain separated, divided, it's easier for society to turn their back to the problems you're facing. The day has come. You can no longer act like these problems don't exist or don't affect you because you're not a victim of abuse right now. You're not a victim of wage gap right now. Maybe you're not the person who's going to be affected by it. Maybe it's your daughter, your cousin, your aunt, your mother. So you got to think beyond yourself and your own self-interest and think about how actions affect others and why you need to band together to make a change for this. There's strength in numbers. Now let's talk about society. Let's talk about the inequalities you face in society, women. The domestic abuse I just touched on. I'm so sick of hearing, I'm so sick of seeing my women, my African American women, my Latino women, my Asian women, my Caucasian women. I'm tired of seeing my women being abused. I'm tired of seeing them being beaten on as if they're a punching bag. Walked on like they're some type of welcoming mat. I'm tired of seeing it. But more importantly, I'm tired of seeing society turn a blind eye to it. So, instead of me turning a blind eye to it, my ladies, my women, if you listen to this, grab your husbands if they're not already by a speaker. Pause the podcast. Bring your husbands to the speaker. Let me speak to them for a second because I want to speak directly to my men right now. I want to take a second and speak directly to my men for a second. My brothers, the time has come. The time has come where you need to support your women. See, because we're adding to the reason African American women don't support each other. We are some of the biggest culprits to why African American women don't support each other. Now you're probably saying, what do I mean by that? Well, we are cheating on our women. And what we're doing is we're forcing our women to feel like they need to compete and look at every woman they encounter as a threat. Every woman they encounter is a threat. Their best friend's a threat. They can't support their best friend anymore because they're too concerned their husbands, their boyfriends are trying to get with their best friend or the woman across the street. So they can't support and encourage her and build her up, build up her self-esteem, build up her confidence, because by doing that, then they're enabling her to be in a position to take what they have. And we only enable that when we sit here and we keep cheating on them. Not only just with their best friends, but other women. And then we rub their nose in it. It destroys them. It destroys not. And the interesting thing about it is it doesn't destroy their trust in just us. It destroys the trust in other women. More in other women than us. See, we always, as men, we get the pass on it, which is not fair, but we get the pass on it. And the woman who didn't even commit this transgression, she becomes a victim. Because, see, she's not going to get that support just because of what another man did or what another man and woman did. I hope I said that right. Because of the relationships they had, I can't support you. Because, see, now you're going to become competition to start dating my man. If I help build up your confidence, build up your self-esteem, then you become another competition, another woman I have to deal with or have to compete against. So it only adds to that separation, that division that African American women go through. And my men, my gentlemen, we got to stop being boys and be men and understand what we're doing. You're destroying the very woman that gave you life, gave you your children, supported you, helped you feel better about yourself. You know, you get songs like These Girls Ain't Loyal, but how loyal are you? How loyal are you if you're cheating on your woman? How loyal are you if you're beating on your woman? And I don't mean just physically. I'm talking about verbally, mentally. How loyal are you? What does loyalty mean to you? If you're not allowing your woman to not only support herself, but in turn support others and build up others to build up a strong community that can fight back against the injustices and inequalities that they're facing every single day. Where's the loyalty? My fellas, where's the loyalty at? Where's the time where we're going to build up our women instead of destroying them? Build up our communities. I talked about our children's right to live and how this ties into it. See, we need to build up strong women and help encourage strong women who can in turn go and help and encourage other strong women to build up our communities, to teach our children morals, responsibility, how to treat people outside the house, respect people, so we can get back our children's right to live. We need to make sure women have equal pay, so that they don't have to live in poverty or be forced to rely on a man or someone else to take care of them. See, we talk about women being on welfare and subsidized living. Well, see, we need to give these African American women and women in general an opportunity to make a living. And it's not because they're not educated, because before you could use that excuse that they're not educated. Well, see, here's the thing. Women are taking more advantage of education than men. So they're acquiring the skills to have the ability to do the jobs. All they need is the opportunity. My fellas, we need to give it. Give them that fair opportunity. Not just because they're women, but because they deserve it. It's time for us to be men. We were all raised by a woman, whether it was your grandma, your aunt, your mother, your sister, your cousin, no matter whether it was a foster parent. We all had a woman, had an imprint on our lives at some point, my fellas. How would you feel if somebody treated your mother or that woman that had that significant imprint on your life the way we're treating our women now? I want you to take some time and really sit there and think on that. Really sit there and think on that before you put your hands on a woman, before you beat a woman down mentally, verbally. Think on that. How would you feel if a man did that to your daughter, to your mother, to your grandmother, to your aunt, to your cousin, to them women in your life that you hold so dear? Think about it. Now we're going to go back to why African American women don't support each other. Now we talked about slavery, we talked about all the inequalities and all the injustices women face, the cheating, the self-confidence that women face. You know, women not loving themselves because they felt they were born behind the 8 ball, because of their skin tone, because of their race, because of their gender, because of their hair quality. Well, here's what I say to you. Just because you were born behind the 8 ball, don't mean you have to stay behind that 8 ball. Push that 8 ball to the side. Stop focusing on the gatekeepers and become the gatekeeper. And women, when you become the gatekeeper, here's where support comes in. We're going to turn racism into a positive word here, and we're going to promote it here. You need to be racist to women and encourage those same women to get the job and give them opportunities that they've been deprived of for so long. But make sure they have the skills and are deserving of that position. Now, I'm not saying do not give men any opportunities. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you have to work to create a level playing field. And it's up to you. It's up to you, women, to illuminate the light on these problems you face, to not stand beside anymore and allow this division to live, to learn to love and support each other, to stop letting the men who are encouraging you to not trust another woman, to not support another woman. It's time for you to hold them accountable for their actions. I'm putting a lot on your shoulders, women. And I'm going to tell you why I'm putting all this on your shoulders. It's because this podcast is called Ordinary People with Extraordinary Stories. But what I want to say to you is, you are all extraordinary. Despite your stories, women. Despite your past, despite your history, you are all extraordinary. Despite the stereotypes that were placed on you, you are all extraordinary and beyond. Because you give us life. You give this world life. You bring life into this world, and that's one thing no man can do. And the bond you and another woman should have should be unbreakable. Because regardless of where you live, your financial status, your marital status, at some point, if you look at another African American woman, what you're going to find is you're going to find something in her, something with her that relates to you and the things you face every single day. Now, you may just have the answers to some of that woman's problems, and you should give her those answers. You should help her. You should help each other, build each other up, encourage each other, inspire each other to chase more, to want more, not discourage. But my African American women, I also have to speak on another thing, because see, it's not just about getting information. You also got to be careful what information you're taking in. Because see, sometimes you have that woman that's more than happy to support you. The African American woman is more than happy to support you. But see, the information she's willing to give you is not always good. And you got to learn, as I always say, to filter out the information that's being given to you. Because you have some women who are living in a bad marriage or a bad relationship, and they want, despite the fact that you're happy in your relationship, they want to in turn ruin your relationship. So they may give you bad advice. They may plant seeds in your head so you have self-doubt about your relationship, so that you're on the same accord as them, so that you're in the same boat as them. Because as they say, misery loves company. Misery loves company. And you got a lot of miserable people out here who are looking for company. So you got to be careful of who you're looking for support from and who are you accepting information from, because not all information is good information. You have to learn to filter it out and filter out people. When you're looking at information people giving you, you also have to look at them, look at their background, look at what they're going through, look at what they're doing, look at their mindset, their attitude, their body language. You have to look deeper into the information someone's giving you and make sure they're not trying to lead you down a path of destruction. Because believe me, there's more than a few people who are out here that would wake up in the morning and their only goal, their only objective is how they can destroy your life, your situation. And it's not because of something you did, because of things that's going wrong in their lives and they don't have a way to fix it, or they're just not interested in fixing it. But see, you have a choice. Like we talked about in the episode Choice 2017, you have a choice what house you want to live in. Failure, mediocrity, or success. And that choice relies on how are you accepting and listening to information. How are you going to change the way you think? See, I can't control what you do with the information I give you. I can only control the information I give you. And my intention is only give you the best possible information so that you can make the best possible choices to make it to the house of success. I don't want to turn on the news anymore and seeing my women being beaten on, being sexually harassed. I pray for the day that I can Google wage inequality and the only thing comes up is that the wage gap has disappeared. I pray for the day that my African American sisters can come together and help support each other despite where you are on the social ladder or financial ladder. I pray that the day comes where all women stand together and support each other, no matter where you are on the social ladder or the financial ladder. I pray that the day come that all women see inside themselves that they're extraordinary. We need you, women. We need you to take back our children's right to live. We need you to take back our communities. We need you to build our communities up. We need you to understand how important you are, how strong you are, how beautiful you are, how much you contribute to this world, and how much we need you. My women, we need you. But we also need our boys to grow up to be men. It's time, men out here, it's time for you to grow up. Take your position. Support your woman. Put your ego aside. A partnership is supposed to be a team of two who are on equal playing ground, equal mindset, working towards the same goal. It's time for you to stop talking about whether a woman is not loyal and ask yourself this question: are you loyal? And what can you do to add to building and mending those relationships between our African American women who don't support each other, and how you can destroy the ability to destroy those relationships. It's time to set fire to that dynamite you've been using to blow up these bridges. It's time to get out some tools, some concrete. It's time for us to rebuild those bridges. The time has come for change. No longer can we stand by and wait for someone to do it for us. The day has come where it's time for women to see the empowerment they have, the beauty that they are, the roles that they are. But more importantly, it's time for men to recognize the same thing and to treat a woman as a queen. She's not your doormat. She's your queen. And for you that don't understand the difference, how about this? Go have a seat for a second. Think on it. Google it. Read. And come back to that woman when you have a better understanding of the difference between a doormat and a queen. Educate yourselves. Educate yourselves so we can give our children a better quality of life. So we can give our children the right to live and not to be killed and gunned down in these streets. We need you women to show our young ladies how to be queen, how to be stand-up women, how to not let a man treat them any type of way. Show them what love really means. Show them what having standards really mean, and that they should never compromise those standards they set for themselves. My men, I need you to raise these boys to be men. Teach them how to treat a woman. Treat them how to appreciate a woman, how to love a woman, how to respect a woman. And once we're able to do all that, understand people. Once we start supporting and loving ourselves, understand people. We can see the value, the beauty in our own communities. And then we can stop destroying each other in our communities. We don't need to worry about gentrification anymore because we will invest in ourselves, in our communities. But that only happens. Change only happens within us. One step at a time, one person at a time. It's time to make a change. I started this by saying the world is one big tinderbox. It only takes one person to light that match to illuminate all the issues, all the problems, all the division, the separation, the hate, the anger that we all been experiencing. That match has just been lit. Get ready to see all the flaws that you've been trying to hide. But also get ready to find all the answers to curing those flaws. This is the Ordinary People Podcast, and we're all about building, not destroying. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for your time. This is normally the time I would tell you to subscribe to my page, Alan Gray on YouTube, and to like the video. However, that's not what I need you to do today. That's not what I want you to do. Instead of doing that, I need you to do something else for me. My African American women, I need you to find a woman, whether it's at the grocery store, at your local business, or where you work, whether it's your friend, person, neighbor. Find a person, another African American woman, and try to help her. Try to empower her. Work on helping build her up. It only take one step. Remember, the words I can't mean I will not try. I don't want to hear you say I can't. I want to say I will try. My people, my Caucasians, my African Americans, my Asian, my Indian, my Latino, I ask for you one thing after listening to this video. Don't turn to someone and tell me or think to yourselves what they won't do, what they won't understand, what they can't understand, what they won't, do with themselves. Take away I can, which means I will not try to. And try to inspire, help them, motivate them, build up their self-esteem. Say something nice to them. Say something nice to them. Give them love. Give them hope. Hope is the only thing stronger than fear. And with the Ordinary People podcast, we're trying to eliminate fear. So what I hope is in turn, I was able to give you hope, my African American women. It's time to light that fire. It's time to light that match. Let's burn down our past and let's rebuild a brighter future. This has been the Ordinary People podcast. Peace.